Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon or evening or wherever it is that you're in the world for our next WikiHouse event. Thanks for joining us this afternoon or evening or wherever it is that you're in the world for our next WikiHouse Thanks for joining us this afternoon
I'm having
or
a little
evening
bit of
or
an
wherever
echo,
it is that you're in the world.
I am just going to stop this for a second.
Next, WikiHouse. Thanks for joining us this afternoon
I'm having a little bit of an echo, there we go. I got rid of it now.
As I was saying, thank you for joining us. This event today is about the award-winning WikiHouse neighborhood in Almere in the Netherlands. And I'm very excited to introduce you to Vincent Muller in a second. But just before I do that, we have some comments on the right-hand side. You'll be able to see those. So please feel free to ask any questions. We'll get to them after the presentation. And just the final thing is this event will be approx an hour long. If you have to go, that's fine. We will make the recording live straight after. So let me bring Vincent in. Hello, Vincent.
Hi.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And I believe you've got a presentation for us.
Yeah, I will open it. First, introduce myself a little bit. I'm Vincent Muller. I'm co-founder of the WikiHouse NL Foundation, so in the Netherlands, and been involved in the project in Almere. And I'm going to show you a presentation. I'm going to share it. It takes a moment. So, I hope you all see this.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, okay, nice. Well, it's about the project WikiHouse the Stripmaker. It's well, the first project with multiple WikiHouses, 27 in this case. The project started in Almere, and the initiative was taken by Woningbouwatelier. Ivar Diekerhoff is also in the background, maybe for questions later. He is the one who came to me for the question with the question: we want to realize a WikiHouse area in Almere with 50 WikiHouses was the question. So that was really cool, and we had some goals and ambitions created for this project. Very important was that it should be accessible for people with lower income. That it would be possible to make your own design with help of a toolbox. Build it yourself together with help of family, friends, and neighbor. And it should be environment friendly, zero energy, low carbon footprint. And of course, important about WikiHouse is sharing the knowledge and experiences. It's the open source part of WikiHouse. That were the goals. First, I would like to explain a little bit about what is WikiHouse for the ones who are watching this stream and are new to WikiHouse. I try to do it a bit quick. It's an open source self-built concept with an international community. How does it work? Well, in essence, it's like this. You download files, you produce it with a digital CNC cutter, and then you can assemble your house with the parts. And the parts are made of plywood that you can cut with the CNC. So that's very short what WikiHouse is. And it's now existing, I think, almost 10 years or even maybe a bit longer. So there are some different kind of systems that are in different parts of the world. And in Almere, we created Swift. And therefore we downloaded the files of the RAN system. That's a system of like 5-6 years ago, I think, or even longer. We want to well, improve it or make it fit to the local situation in Almere, and also to create some better floor plans. So we wanted to create a 4.8 meter span width, because RAN could only go to 3.6 meter span. Well, some other systems are there, like Blackbird, and of course Skylark is now launched beginning this year. The Swift system, we did a testy showcase in Almere before we started with this area with more WikiHouses. It was the first time we were going to realize a WikiHouse where you really could live in, and that would fit the permit and the building regulations. This is the testy showcase, the pionierswoning in Almere Poort. And this is the design. It's a small house. Here you can see also a little bit how the Swift system works. It's based on slices, modules, we call it. And you can create a house by putting there more modules behind each other. This is what is realized. This is the pionierswoning. And this test case we also helped building with, and together with some international volunteers that were interested in the WikiHouse way of building. Well, it was a success, the pionierswoning. It worked pretty well. Then we needed a location for this area with more WikiHouses. So it ended up with 28 WikiHouses instead of this 50, what the question was. But we got this really nice area on the edge of the city, close to a natural environment. So this is the urban plan. This is where what we used for discussion with the municipality and creating a vision for what it should be. Also together with some images how the exterior should look, also together with the municipality and urban designer. Natural materials, and not like stone or concrete or whatever. So this is the location. Phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 with 13 WikiHouses, and phase 2 with 14 WikiHouses. Phase 1 has 13 because the group that was involved wanted to change it from 14 to 13, so that we could make like 6 freestanding WikiHouses. So I will start with phase 1. How did the first challenge we had before we started the project was to change the Swift system of the pionierswoning, similar like this one, the A1, to make an extra floor. So that was, we did a lot of structural tests and calculations together with advisors, to create it. And well, in the end, it worked out to this system. This is a bit more technical in detail how it works. I try to explain it a little bit. The red lines are the connections of the frame pieces, and the green lines are the connections between the sheets in the wall, the roof, and the floor. And there has to be a distance between them, so that makes it like really strong structure that works all around. And also these corner pieces have to be strong. So we decided to make the frame pieces all in birchwood. Birchwood is stronger than spruce plywood. That's what for the rest of the parts is used. And from there, we know that it works, we created the toolbox with different kind of elements that you can use to create your design. With the big dots, the red dots are the standard modules. So that's always where you start with to create a volume for your design. And from there you can or add the orange ones as an extension, like a roof terrace or just a flat roof, or you can create extensions that modules that are getting smaller. So for phase one, we started that with a kind of a workshop and with skill models, and they designed their own house exactly on this on scale together, and that was really fun to see because they really check each other out for why are you doing this, and then they get inspired by each other. So it was really fun to see that they are really changing their designs because the neighbor is doing something else that they also like. For example, this is one of the designs of Sebastian. Is one of the guys who is really involved into WikiHouse, especially the construction. We made this design. Well, actually, he made it, and I helped him with that. And this is the final design. So that's where the permit is. We got the permit on. Here you see the final designs of phase one. Here you see the yellow one is still this of Sebastian, plot number 5. Now, after the permit, you are going to start with construction. Well, there's a lot of logistics, sorry, before that, and planning, of course. But you have to know what the building order is of the Swift system. So this is how it works. Mainly, is you start with the foundation. That's is done by a contractor. You can not do that yourself. It's like with steel beams and concrete piles in this case. Of course, it depends on your location, how your foundation will be made. But after that, you're going to build your floor modules, like number 2. And then you start with raising frames, adding wall sheets, floor sheets, and then you go to the next frame, the roof frames, and then again all the sheets. And from there, you're going to put your windows in and finish your house on the outside. Some images of the construction. Of course, this self-building is not, you are getting an instruction manual for that. It is like this. Every WikiHouse that is built has its own manual. For the main, call it like a main manual, and there is on every page, it's like you get a, how do you say, you go to the detail instruction like this. So this is a detailed instruction, and that it's for a lot of parts of the WikiHouses the same. You can start with some pre-assemble or the pieces, and you can do that inside somewhere because it's wood, so it can help you build faster if you can pre-assemble as much as possible somewhere inside. In this case, they build a shed on the construction site, and there they put the parts together. And then when you have this pre-assembled parts, you go on site. Like this, the floor modules and the next, the frames that are waiting to be raised, like here. Here you see, by the way, Sebastian, this guy we talked about, before about. Different stages of how the chassis is built, like you did see in the drawings before. well, and here it's almost the finishing of the phase one, well, especially the exterior. I mean, still some people are still building interior. Interior almost finished. It's also the house of Sebastian. Next, phase two. That was a little bit different because what we did see, this is the toolbox again, and the white ones are the ones that have been chosen by the self-builders in the end for phase one. So you see a lot of them are not used, not yet, maybe in the future, but and we had some pressure on the planning. We decided to make preset designs for phase two, and we only used some standard modules. So it ended up in this 5 types of houses. The yellow plots are private clients, and the other ones are an investment by Steenvlinder Inc. And that's a special kind of way how you can buy a house. You rent first for 5 years or maximum 5 years, and then you buy it for a fixed price. So that's fixed before you start renting. So that makes it really accessible for people with a lower budget. So they did 10 of these houses, or actually 11. Well, one of the important things of this second phase was that we did make some changes to the design principles, because we had to add a stability wall in phase one during the design process. And the most floor plans were ready and finished. So it was really hard to get them in, and all the stability walls had different sizes. So we made for second phase one standard stability wall. And you can see the first one above is just the number of modules of these 5 types of WikiHouses, the preset designs. And then we created the zones where you can put the stability wall. So the bigger your house you get, the less flexible the zone is where you can put the stability wall, because it has to be more or less in the middle, and it's calculated on the biggest one. So you can imagine on the smallest one you can place it everywhere, and even you could make it smaller, but we want to keep to let it be standard. Important is that it always goes together with the stairwell, the place where you put the stairs. You can choose the side of the wall, and you can place the wall against the side wall or in the middle, like here in the middle. Here you see the stability wall is kind of a laminated wood cross, and that must be connected with the foundation, so a steel beam goes under and has to be connected. So that's how it's in a technical way. Important. We are still trying to find out how to replace it, this stability wall, or to get rid of it. That would be the best to make the structure stronger in another way, or maybe put it in the end walls in a way. We had this toolbox of the modules. Also in the second phase, we had a more modular system for the openings you make in the side walls. You can see them below, and also which stairs you can place, and as well the end walls has his own system that's a bit similar like the Swift main system, but it's based on a modular size of 60 centimeters instead of 1.2 meters. And in the second phase, one example, plot number 24, they used our VR tool. We have been creating, and they used that to design and experience their ideas about the floor plan. Special about their floor plan is that they live on the first floor. So downstairs they sleep and have the kind of a working space and bathroom, but live upstairs, and then they have a very nice view from there. Here you see on the left side the chassis, but it's not the preset design anymore because they changed it, and it was allowed in the end because they wanted to make it slightly bigger, and they want some extra shadow above the big window against the sun. So this is the final designs of the strip marker phase 1 and 2 together. Yes, and what happened in phase 1 was that just before the construction started, some of the self-builders stopped for different reasons, financial or some different reasons in private situations. But so they we adopted that in phase 2. So they had also to build being built in phase 2. So they had to build 18 WikiHouses instead of 14. So that's what you see here. We started there building the WikiHouses in phase 1, the phase 2 WikiHouses, but then just between the phase 1 houses, and that worked pretty well. And this is plot number 24 again. Here you see how they are going to build their house. Here you see the floor modules going on the steel structure. Next to it with racing roof frames. Here you see the structure complete, coming to completion, and here you have a view from the roof to the other WikiHouses that are under construction. And here you see Comet to design. Very nice is there's the self-builders have a background in product design and development, so they're really into detail. So you can see, for example, this crane is exactly in the middle, and it's really precise how they work, and it's really nice to see how everyone is dealing different with building their own house. Here should be a film or a movie. It doesn't work, so let's skip it. Here you see some more of the self-builders. Well, this is more like where they're all almost happy on the pictures. Of course, there were some times not everyone was that happy, but that is part of when you're going to build yourself. Some of the almost finished houses, not all of them, but a few, just to show you a bit what they have created. And also they choose their own facade materials, but it has to stay, it has to fit in the plan I showed you in the beginning. Natural materials and not with crazy colors or whatever. Another example, a lot of insulation fits in the structure. Another example, how to scale up. That's still what we are doing together with involved organizations and professionals. We think we have like 3 options. One option is download the toolbox and make your own design and do it completely yourself. And another option, a bit easier, is that you order one of the standard designs we have made, 6 modules, 7 modules, and 8 modules. You can order that, and you can have some influence on, or you can change the floor plans a bit, but that's it. And you can, of course, download the existing houses and just copy them and build them yourselves. Well, here you see the house of Sebastian, that the guy who was in the beginning. Yeah, so this was the presentation.
Thanks, Vincent. We will upload that video that you couldn't play. And
okay.
then people can add. And we'll also add some links to Instagram, because some of those houses have got their own Instagram accounts. So you can follow the progress. We've had a few questions. So I'm just going to bring one from Stephen. What kind of CNC cutting machine do you use? And can you use some low-cost open-source vertical CNC cutter like the Maslow?
I'm not known of what kind of CNC cutter, but they are really professional. So, I mean, we've been cutting like 27 WikiHouses. So it's a company that is involved that has a lot of CNC cutters, and they are quite professional. And I mean, if you only use one, then it would have taken years to cut all these houses. So no Maslow. I know that one, but that's, yeah, you can do it, of course, but then if you have your own plot and you have all the time of the world.
Yes. I've got another question from Jennifer about the VR tool that was used. Was that also open source?
It should be, but it is still in a kind of, I don't know how you call it, kind of a beta version. So it is not published, really. Maybe Ivar Idikarov, I also talked about, he was involved in that.
Yeah, let me see, Ivar, are you with us?
Yeah,
Hello.
I am. Yeah, about the VR tool. So that was developed together with AUAR in London, and they had a software developer developing the VR tool. And the file is available, so we can send you the file. If you have the VR set, then you can just give it a try. But like Vincent said, it still needs a bit more work. But I think it's a very nice tool to go through a design process in a very quick and transparent way. So you can make your own design. You can see what it costs in Holland, in this case, and based on figures that we added in 2020. But you can get a rough idea of, okay, does this actually fit budget-wise to what I have? So we can make it available to anyone. There's no problem at all.
Brilliant. I've got another question from Stephen about can you use some sort of natural wood preservation for the plywood, like yakisugi, where the wood is heated and burnt?
I don't know. Yeah, probably you can, but I don't know why you should. But because the way we built the WikiHouses is you wrap it in completely. So it's not necessary to do any preservation.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks. I have a question about the self-builders and how did the people come together to start, from the beginning of the project? How did they come together to start?
Yeah, well, we started the project as an initiative together with Woningbouw LTA in Almere. So it's a bit more top-down wise. So we did some advertisement, or at least Woningbouw LTA did, and from there, people were interested. So at like the first information meeting we had, I think there were more like 100 people interested. So that's the way how to go. So it's not like there was a group of friends that started it. But yeah, maybe Ivar can also maybe tell more about it. Because
Yeah, no problem. In the end, we had about 250 people who were interested, so quite a lot. And so there's, in a way, there's two ways you can approach a project like this. You can start with a group, and you can tell that you can discuss with each other, like, okay, we want to do a project together and build together and make a certain design, etc. That will take a longer time and a longer process, more money probably, etc. We wanted to really focus on it being affordable and it being quick. So we did some pre-work. So we made a plot plan, and like what Vincent showed, for the second phase, we decided, okay, this will be the mass you can make on a certain plot. So we already took a couple of decisions. Still, there was loads of freedom for end users to tweak it in the way they wanted to tweak it. But yeah, we wanted to go quick, which meant taking a couple of decisions and then leave it to the end user, do a quick design process, and then get planning and start building. But there's different ways of approaching it. It's up to the end user, really.
And did you find the planning process straightforward?
Well, it is in Holland. If you compare, I live in the UK, I develop in the UK, so I know the difference between the Dutch system and the English system. In the Dutch system, you have a so-called bestemmingsplan, so that's a land use plan or a zoning plan, in which is detail in quite a lot of details described what you're allowed to build and what you aren't allowed to build. The moment, so as long as your design fits that bestemmingsplan, that zoning plan, then you're fine. You will get planning. Whereas in England and in the UK, it's a bit more subjective, I would say. It depends on the planning officer and how they interpret the general rules. So I would say it's more transparent in Holland. In England, there's potentially more possible. There's a bit more flexibility.
Cool, thank you. I've got another question from Jennifer. Are you planning another neighborhood in the Netherlands?
We really would love to. There are some leads, as I can say. Well, at least one I can mention is in the south of the Netherlands. There is a landowner who wants to build 12 WikiHouses. But still, he has to do a lot of talking with the municipality before he can, he's allowed to do it. So it's also a long process. But Jennifer, if you're still looking maybe for a chance in the Netherlands, it might be a chance to build a WikiHouse in the Netherlands in that project, or maybe another project. Ivar has also some leads. I don't know what you can tell about it, but
well, so we're spreading the word. We've done the experiment. We're telling the story, and there's people who are interested, and that's private people, but also housing associations, councils who are thinking this might fit in our municipality. So there is a couple of leads. All in all, that adds up to around 150, 250 WikiHouses. And so it depends a bit where you are, Jennifer, in Holland. Potentially there is already an initiative that you can join, and otherwise just start your own. And you can have a look at crowd building, so crowdbuilding.nl, in which you can register yourself as being someone that is interested in a potential WikiHouse project, or get in contact with us, and we'll see what we can do.
Great. Thanks. I've got another question from Stephen. How does a WikiHouse differ to, say, a timber frame build?
Well, it is digitally produced and it's completely made out of plywood. So that's the difference. And of course, the connections are cut with the cutter. So it's all the joins are digitally produced as well in that way, and it's made possible for everyone to build it yourself, and also so that you can that it's doable by people, so that you don't use that much all kinds of machines, cranes or whatever, so not too heavy parts.
I have another question about the Swift system, because you mentioned at the beginning that it had come from Wren. How is it different? How did it come about?
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
You mentioned the system that you use in the Netherlands is the Swift system. How did that differ from where you started with Wren?
It's because that's what I tried to explain, that maybe it was not clear, but it works all together. And in Wren, it's a bit more like the frames take all the structure, and with the Swift system, we use the sheets as much as possible. So that's why we are a bit more restricted in making openings in the sides. In Wren, you can make a bit bigger windows, for example, but we can make the bigger span with the Swift system. So so every system has its advantages and disadvantages.
Right. I've got another question here from Chris. How did you go about running services within the building? Are they exposed to reduce costs?
Services, electricity, gas, water, that kind of stuff. Rain.
Yeah, but I think it depends what you mean. I mean,
well, but maybe I can answer this question, because I don't know if you are in the UK, Chris, but in the UK, drainages, etc., they just go through the wall and you can see them from the outside. That's generally not how we build in Holland. So they stay inside the building and go through the ground floor. So that's where they come in or go out generally. It's only the downpipe for rainwater that you might see on the outside, but that's it.
Great, thanks. And we've got another question here. How did the development of Wren work? I think they mean Swift. Was it open? Did the community contribute, or was it simply most important that the release would be open source?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's really, we just discussed a lot, especially in the WikiHouse and now team as well. But we had really an ambitious planning, so it was really difficult to start sharing during the process. And I think that happened as well with Skylark, for example. So I don't know, in an ideal way, it should work like that you have the time to share and then get the knowledge around the world in the system. I think that would be amazing, but it's really difficult, especially when you are connected to a project that has deadlines, and you have to realize it. So we're still working on for the sharing part. It's because we have so many files. I announced it in the Netherlands group that is following us a few times. We're going to release it then and then, but it's so difficult to make it happen, because you don't want dirty files. So I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how to deal with it. So if anyone has a really good solution for this, I'm open to that.
Great, thanks. I think that's all our questions so far, but I was going to ask you, Vincent, you mentioned something about the WikiHouse being part of the Floriade in Almere. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes, well, that was kind of a last-minute project that we were asked for, and Ivar, well, I don't know, I think Ivar got us in somewhere there, and we got a place there to build a bio-based WikiHouse pavilion. It's a small kind of pavilion. I plan to put that in the presentation as well, but I thought, well, maybe it's all about the strip marker. So, but I think we will put the drawings and pictures of the pavilion all soon on the website. So then everyone will also see what that's like. You can also see some of it on the Instagram of WikiHouse, and all the links will be mentioned at the end.
Yes, we'll add them. We'll add them in at the end.
Yeah.
I've got another question from Eric here. What challenges do you have with Swift that you would like to improve?
A lot of challenges. First, when you are doing such a process like the research and development, mostly it's like doing 2 steps back and 1 forward. So that's the same with the stability wall, and I talked about it in the presentation. That's really one of the things we want to get rid of it, because it's not really part of the WikiHouse structure. I mean, we in the second phase we made it like you can build it yourself, so that's an improvement to the first phase. But yeah, it would be the best if we can remove it and solve it in a different way. So maybe that will be one of the things we can share soon, hopefully, at least the basics of the system, so that others can take it, download it, and maybe find a solution for that as well, and not that we are doing it on our own.
Yeah, that's a brilliant plan, actually. I've got sort of a related question from Benji. For the next projects, will you be moving onto the Skylark system, or will you still use Swift?
Yeah, good question. I really would love to try Skylark as well. So if there is a chance, I'll take it. But the thing is that we have local regulations. Most of them are European regulations, I think. But we have, with the Swift system, we have done a lot of testing, and we can prove it when we are going for the permit. So we are a bit of, in that way, stuck to Swift so far, and that's okay, because I really would like to develop it further, and maybe I can learn from Skylark when I have time to go in. But
Yep, we've got another question from Zlatan. What were some of the biggest questions or challenges the planning authorities had in terms of engineering, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, also a lot of them. I don't know where to begin. I mean, we started with this pilot project, the Pioneers Warning, and that's where it all started. I mean, you come with something that you think it is a bit like just a timber frame. It's not that different, in how it works in a structural way, for example. And also making, for example, a wooden floor, a ground floor in the Netherlands, that's really not common. So in the really old buildings in Amsterdam and the kennel houses, whatever, you see it a lot. But when you make a new building, you never do that. So that's really where we get this thing with the municipality, that they really say, well, this is not possible. So
I think generally we had the technical barriers were really easy to take, because we had the knowledge, we had the data, we had the lab research, etc. So we could prove that it was absolutely fine. It's much more what Vincent says. It's a cultural challenge. They're not used to wooden buildings in general, and especially not when it's built like this. I've got a rough rule that if you work with organizations, about 5% likes new stuff and innovation and really jumps on it and puts its energy in, and 95% doesn't really like it because it takes more time, it's difficult, etc., etc. And that's the cultural barrier you have to take, and you just have to push through it. And that does take time, energy, and money, but we did it, and we had the time and the money and the energy. So yeah, that was the main challenge, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just go to the next question, which I think is probably the last one. What program or software do you use to design and model the system in?
Yeah, that's mainly we used SketchUp. So to keep it as simple as possible. Especially for intuitive design, it works pretty well. And also for development and research, it's perfect. In combination with AutoCAD for the cutting files. Well, there is kind of a problem sometimes to export from SketchUp to another software makes it a bit hard sometimes. So it's not the ideal way, especially when you want to make it more, how do you say, customable, and it should be more like in a parametric way. But I also know that you need to put a lot of data in this kind of models to make it customable. So I don't know yet what would be the best, but we work with the modular system, so we can reuse a lot. So that makes it easier. But that does mean that if someone asks, I want to make the WikiHouse 2 centimeters smaller, then we have a problem. So then we have to change it by hand.
Yes, that's true. And finally, just one last question, which is around this recent award that you've been given for the work in Almere. Can you tell us a little bit more about the prize, the architectural prize?
Yeah, well, that's it's the prize has had 3 prizes actually. It was one chosen by school children. One was chosen by could be chosen by the public, everyone, or the audience, and it was how do you say it? Like
Professionals.
With a jury, with professionals, a jury of professionals. We did win the one with for the audience that has chosen. So and that was really nice, because that's what we hope for. Because we know when you work as an architect on a project like this, it's completely different than when you work in a traditional project and you can have your make your detail as you want it to be built. And in this project, the self-builders, they have the drawings with kind of and detailed drawings, but still they do it. They just want what they want, so they change it and make the details slightly different. So then you see, when you walk through this WikiHouse project, and so some details I think, they did it pretty nice, or just like the drawings, and some they don't, and I don't like. But that's something you have to accept when you have to deal with people who design themselves and build themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so people can see the houses, I'm just posting the links below in the comments, so you can see them on Instagram, and you can find out a bit more about the project. And as I said, if you want to upload that video that couldn't play, and we can share it with everybody later. So I think that's it from us just now. Just to thank you again, Vincent and Ivar, for joining us this afternoon. And to everybody, thanks for coming. Thanks for the questions. And we're going to have a little break in August, and we'll be back in September with another event.
Thanks for hosting.
Yeah, thank
You're very
you.
welcome. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.